The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) has issued a stern warning to the National Assembly over an alleged plan to transfer labour matters, including the national minimum wage, from the exclusive legislative list of the federal government to the concurrent list. The NLC strongly opposed the move, arguing that such a change would enable individual states to determine workers' wages independently, a development it described as unacceptable. Speaking at the National Administrative Council meeting of the Central Working Committee held in Abeokuta, Ogun State on Friday, NLC President Comrade Joe Ajaero labeled the attempt as an exercise in futility and a dangerous ploy to erode workers' rights nationwide. Ajaero warns that if the plan is pursued, it could provoke widespread protest that may persist up to the 2027 general elections. He maintained that labor matters are universally treated as national issues, noting that the International Labour Organization (ILO) engages with national government, not subnational entities, on matters concerning labor rights and wages. He further described the proposed decentralization as a disguised effort to bastardize the national minimum wage, potentially allowing states to undermine workers' welfare by imposing arbitrary wage standards.
That is bastardization of labor. Bastardization of wages. If a worker on level 5 here in Ogun State is not paid commensurate to the worker on level 5 elsewhere, what do you call it? It's discrimination. Such constitution cannot stand the test of time. You can't have different rules for the same people. Okay, if you come to... Now, what minimum wage is what we call a benchmark. And when people work in some places, they have to understand what they are trying to legislate on. It says that this amount, nobody should pay less than this. All over the world, there's usually what is called minimum wage for the protection of workers. If you don't legislate 70,000 minimum wage, some states will pay 20. However, that law permits you that, however, states that can pay more are hereby ought to do that. And I can tell you there is few states that are paying 70. So if somebody is not telling you that there should not be that minimum, there are some parts of this country that will not have slaves forever, and then we'll call ourselves a Nigerian. So that constitution is as well as asking every state to have their own constitution.
According to him, this would contradict international best practices and the principles of the ILO Act, which calls for national level protection for workers. While Ajaero acknowledged that the NLC is not aware of any state currently defaulting on the new minimum wage, he emphasized that organized labor will not tolerate any attempt to roll back the gains made in improving workers' welfare. On the lingering issue of delayed enforcement of local government autonomy as mandated by the Supreme Court, Ajaero called on stakeholders to seek a renewed interpretation from the Apex Court to ensure full constitutional compliance.
But when there is a ruling, Supreme Court ruling, that local government elections should be conducted between this time and this time. Now the question is this, which is very important. Is it the ones in existence before, should they continue? Question number one. Now, do you dissolve the existing ones? The existing ones, which to your own perception were not democratically elected. Now, who dissolves them? And how is the election conducted? Who conducts the election? These are questions, that if they were not resolved by that Supreme Court judgment, the Supreme Court should be approached again to give an interpretation of their ruling. Because they can't give a ruling that is confusing and is creating more problems.